What's up, guys? So back here again, have a new amp to show you. So in my last video, I was talking about the El Diablo. Was able to pick one up just recently, and it is a great amp. So this is the second time I've owned this amp. It's a really cool amp. It's very throaty. It's very high gain. This configuration, I've got the 100 watt head. And by the way, this is the amp manufacturer, as you could probably read, is GenzBenz or GenzBenz. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, or who it was. I always thought it was a guy named Gensler that was part of the company that built this amp. So that's why I called them GenzBenz. Anyway, they made great tube amps. They made a bunch of different tube amps. They made a bunch of really cool bass amps. Their bass amps were probably more popular, I think, than their tube amps were. This thing's 100 watt. You can switch it to 50 watts. Basically cuts half the power amp tubes out. They also had a 60 watt version. So the guy that I bought this from, he gave me a really good deal on this whole setup. And so he didn't have the correct foot switch for it. He had the 60 watt version, and I don't know if the pins are messed up in the back of this thing or if it's just the way that the 100 watt switch, like which pin went to which foot switch button. But on this amp, this foot switch, it works all of the functions, but all of the functions are different buttons than it says it is, which is kind of cool. It's cool that it works because I'm not sure, they're out of business now, so I'm not sure if I could even get another foot switch for it. So I was really happy that it had something that it actually worked. So, this amp, like I said, it's a pretty high gain monster. It's a cool amp. Like I was saying in my last video, my Ignator Armageddon was kind of my high gain, wish list dream amp that I owned once upon a time. I got rid of it foolishly. I sold this amp head, not this exact one, but a version of this amp head back when I bought my Ignator, because after I bought it, I realized I no longer needed this, and so I sold it to kind of pay back some of the money that I had spent on that Ignator. It was a good deal. What I bought, I had the 212 G Flex, and this is the 412 you can see behind me. It is crazy loud. This thing is, it is so loud. And one cool thing about it is as you turn it up louder, the amp starts to open up a little bit, and I can't get it past halfway because it is so loud, it's painful. It's a monster amp. Kind of fun to own it. The amp starts to roll off some of the high end fizz out of it as you get it louder and louder, and it just becomes very barky and throaty, and it's cool, man. I mean, it does a thing, and the clean channel is very respectable on it. Also, I know a lot of high gain amplifiers, the clean channel on them, people kind of treat them as that's like a throwaway channel, and maybe that's just people that do only high gain stuff, and so they kind of act like clean as a throwaway channel. But I do a lot of different stuff, and mostly this amp is just to have as a tool for writing and different things like that. And so it's crazy. Modeling amplifiers have come so far. People are getting rid of tube amps all over the place, and I have been thinking over the last year, well, what if there's like a return to tube amps later on? And so I'm buying all of these amps for extremely cheap while people are out there, using modelers and stuff like that. And I kind of have this feeling like maybe at some point, I could be wrong. I usually am wrong, but I think maybe at some point people are going to start wanting these amps back, and I'm going to have them, not to sell them, but just to have them. And so maybe as people want to come and record in my studio and stuff, I'll have these cool things to be able to utilize on recordings for people here locally. So anyways, enough yammering. I'll let you hear it. Oh, one last thing. So SM57, just like right by the dust cone. And I have some room mics here. They're ribbon mics, and they're about 5 feet, 6 feet away from the amp here, and I'll kind of swap back and forth, hopefully in the recording. I don't know. So here's a little demo of the clean channel on the amp. And the neck position, doing a really bad job at Mike McCready. Basically a clean channel. You can hear the reverb's pretty washy. Turn it all the way off. A little out of tune here. I like reverb. So one thing that's kind of cool about this amp is you have like a master reverb that allows you to kind of get like the total amount of dwell in the reverb, or like the size of the room, and then you can dial that all the way up, which is what I have it, which gives it like a huge wash. And then per channel, you're able to basically go in there and turn the volume of the reverb applied to each channel independently, which is kind of cool. One other thing that was kind of interesting about how they went about this amp is on the back, it has 2 different effects loops, one for the clean channel, one for the dirty. And then they also have a global effects loop. So if you had all kinds of different effects that you wanted to apply, across the amp globally, if you wanted it just across the clean channel only and didn't want to do a bunch of pedal dancing and stuff like that, this amp was kind of configured to do that. I don't know that anybody really ever needs that many options with routing, but I don't know, maybe there are certain players out there that play live and that'd be really functional for them. Typically, if I'm running pedals or anything like that, I'm kind of using the pedals more than I'm using the amp. So anyway, yeah, so that's the clean channel. pretty gnarly.